Joseph Staten leaves 343, along with other executives, and campaign development is completely suspended. What is next for this depressing series? What's up, World Strip here, back in the video. Today I got a special one for you because Joseph Staten just left 343. This is after this man got into this company after so wrongdoings and all the stuff that's been along the way of them not making this game the way it should have been, or any of the previous ones in my opinion. Now, this one is it actually is near and dear to my heart because I started out with Halo 3 for the Xbox 360 as one of my big online talking games. Technically, this too was one of my first online games where I'm talking to other people and communicating and all that stuff. So Halo was such a big game for me as far as the socialization of it, just the all-around funness of the game. It's lost way ever since. Reach was really, really good, just did not meet the quality standard of Halo 3, but I know for a lot of people that was such a big time overall, and I just remember people jumping on Reach, and other people were still playing Halo 3, whereas you didn't really see that with Halo 3 to Halo 2. There were people still playing Halo 2, but mostly people that couldn't afford a new Xbox, or didn't have the new Xbox 360. You didn't really see people playing Halo 2 while Halo 3 was in the launch cycle, whereas with Halo Reach, there actually was quite a lot of people that played Halo Reach and went back to Halo 3 because it was just that good of a game and they couldn't get over that nostalgia. Now, a lot of people talk about rose-tinted glasses, but let's move on to the Joseph Staten aspect of this. Joseph Staten actually is now leaving 343, and this is kind of major news at this point because 343 is at an absolute loss. They have basically no ground to make up. They have gone backwards and backwards and backwards and backwards. People are kind of fed up with it. Now, there's been so many things with the TV show not being anywhere near good. You know, I actually got to play the playtest of Halo Infinite, and in fact, I got in the very first one, which was kind of crazy back then because a lot of people didn't really get in, and a lot of people were trying to get in. I remember my friend who had played all the Halo games, for 12 years on his account. He's got this big achievement list and all that stuff. He didn't even get invited to the Halo Infinite preview, yet I somehow got in, even though I have no idea how I got the invite over him, but somehow, some way, I was the one that got in. Regardless, this was the most depressing Halo I've ever played. It was just a very sad state of the game, and I knew it was nothing like the original. Not only was there no more area voice chat, and there was no more, people weren't really using the voice chat. There's a lot of stuff going on with that. You couldn't communicate with the enemy team, and I didn't like that at all. And then it was just so bare bones. There was nothing to the game. The maps were atrocious. They played like Call of Duty maps. There was a debate there, and people were going back and forth on that. But for me, the maps were just sad. They just played exactly like some symmetrical Call of Duty map that had no inspiration to it at all. And then, again, these are my opinions, but I'm very strong opinion on this game because, like I said, Halo was one of my main upbringing games. It's very near and dear to my heart. I played it a lot when I was 12, 13, 14, and even up to 15, I believe Halo 3 still running. I think at that point, Reach had come out, and people were more on that game. And then after Reach, it just completely went downhill. After Bungie left, the 343 has done nothing for this game to make it to where it should be at all. And now with Joseph Staten and these other lead developers leaving, on top of everything else, they're completely suspending any campaign extensions or DLC or what have you. They completely suspended the development on campaign, which is really sad because even though there wasn't really any crazy DLC for any of the other older Halo games, as far as campaign was, there was a few, but still like to see in this generation and in this time period that they would be able to overcome those hurdles, especially when, and again, a lot of people don't know about this, the game is entirely outsourced. The game is 80% outsourced, quoted by multiple sources. You could just look at the straight facts. You go to the Wikipedia page for Halo Infinite, and it will tell you how many different studios have worked on this game. There are so many different studios. And let's actually look at all of these developers for Halo Infinite. One being Skybox Labs, which does the Forge mode completely from scratch since Halo 5. Spirasoft does some of the graphical and animation work, I believe. Probably just some artistry, but they're also known for porting, so they might have done the PC port. Now, Coalition is mostly known for Gears of War, but they're also known for their MTX system. So a lot of the MTX stuff that you see is probably on the Coalition side. Another developer is Certain Affinity, and we've got to know Certain Affinity recently is they've kind of come out with all these different we're going to do a Battle Royale mode and stuff like that. So Certain Affinity definitely helps with the production of Halo, but it also works on the game modes. So that could be why there was such a lackluster of game modes in Halo Infinite. Certain Affinity does that stuff, and they also work on the DLC. So most of the stuff you see now, 343 343 is done. They don't even work on the game anymore. Realistically, they're having all these other companies piece this thing together. And last but not least is a Tomahawk. And a Tomahawk is known for UI and UX development. And they also created all the UI and UX assets. So, but my curiosity is this why the game has such a big problem with the UI? Is this company a Tomahawk? It's kind of weird. Their statement says something about being serious in these big developments, but it's like, wow, really? You're going to use Halo Infinite as a UI example for your company? Seems a little odd. Just seeing as people really didn't like the UI at the start, and neither did I, and there were so many issues, and not only that, but 343 themselves blamed the UI for not being able to add Team Slayer in the Slayer playlist at the beginning. And other than that, this game is just in a sad state, and to see Joseph Staten, it's just another nail in the coffin, and I really feel like Halo and 343 as a whole is basically done. They're just done for. They need to let this game completely die off, fall off the atmosphere, and some other company needs to pick up the IP, or Microsoft needs to find a new company to hold the IP accountable. The problem is Microsoft has a big atmosphere and big culture of using contracted and third-party and outsourced for almost everything they create, including all of their apps. A lot of the PC apps that you use for Xbox, the Xbox PC apps, they actually run really, really badly, and they keep making new applications every year, and it's because they keep hiring new contractors every year, and those new contractors don't know how to work on the old software, so instead of having them correct the issues of the old software, they have them make a new one. There's been like 4 or 5 Xbox companion apps for the PC that let you voice chat and talk to people and party up and things like that nature, looking for group and stuff like that. But all in all, it is kind of sad to see that this game has just gone down into the gutter and just not really held its nostalgia. And everybody thinks it's these rose-tinted goggles. They keep saying rose-tinted goggles. You guys got rose-tinted goggles. No, we do not. If you go back and play those old games, I even remember, this is a really quick tidbit before we end off, I was playing Halo 3 the last day that the servers were getting shut down. And I was talking to somebody who sounded pretty young overall, but about like in their teens or maybe in their early 20s. They probably didn't play Halo 3 back in the day. In fact, I talked to them about it, and they didn't play Halo back in the day. And they were telling me how much fun they were having on the game, talking to people, and just having an all-around blast. And I remember that last day, it was so special. Everybody hung out until like 4 and 5 a.m. We basically were just waiting for the servers to shut down. They were supposed to shut down at 12, and then I think they got pushed back to 1, and the servers were still up, and so we just kept playing. And I think there was like around 10 or 12,000 people online. There was like 2,000 people in the team playlist. It was kind of crazy. Just goes to show that it really wasn't rose-tinted goggles back then, and it honestly was a lot of fun, especially speaking to somebody who didn't play it and kind of was like, wow, this is what the game was? Yeah, man, it's sad they're shutting this down, even though there is MCC, but nah, it's not the... Regardless, that's the news for the day. I figured I would cover it just because this is pretty close to my heart, and I have a lot to say about Halo 3. Honestly, this video would probably go on for about 30 or 40 minutes, maybe even longer, of me just ranting about how I feel about the game. And maybe I'll make a video like that one day, but till the next one, dude.